All right, we are back with another Real Talk episode. We're going to be talking about 1913 stocks. And as you guys can see right here, we have the Samson Manufacturing SAS, stands for Sexy Ass Stock, something along those lines there. I absolutely love the stock. We're going to talk a little bit more about this one here in a second and about the two biggest competitors to it, in my eyes at least, the Alpha stock here from Midwest Industries and the Jmac stock. So between these three stocks, I feel like they're probably the best options in the market. But again, before we get into the stocks and talk a little bit more about the Samson stock, I wanted to at least give you guys a shout out. Thank you for stopping by the video. If you guys aren't already, please consider subscribing and liking, sharing these videos. And then if you guys do want to support the channel, there's three ways you can really do so. Obviously, the free ways, liking, subscribing, and commenting and all that. And then there's Brownell's discount code RDB10, saves you 10% off at Brownell's. And then there's a discount code for Downrange Thermal, our newest thermal night vision sponsor for the channel, and that's RDB5, saves you guys 5% off over there as well. So if you guys want to support the channel, those are two great ways to do it, and I really appreciate you guys sending those folks some love. Now, with that being said, let's start from the bottom. We'll work our way to the top. So, and just for clarification purposes, the Alpha stock is my least favorite. The JMac is in second place, and then the SAS is in first place currently. Things can change obviously over time, and we'll see about that. But for right now, let's start with my least favorite, and we'll talk about this guy right here. So the Midwest Industries Alpha stock, full disclosure, this was sent to me by Brownell, so I did not pay for this thing. It is pretty expensive. I don't know exactly how much it costs, but it is also pretty heavy. And I just want to give you guys a little bit about, just tell you what my experience was with it and why I don't entirely love this thing. It's great. It looks amazing, by the way. I think this is one of the best looking stocks that I have. I mean, they all look amazing, right? But this one, it kind of looks like, Terminator almost in a way. So it's a very good looking stock, but immediately the first thing that it was just an unacceptable thing for me was this folding mechanism had a little bit of play in it. And obviously it's very hard to tell. It's not mounted up right now, but on the gun, you can wiggle it back and forth. And the mechanism itself, where this hook latches on, the folding part itself, had a tiny bit of play, but it is enough to be annoying for the price of the stock and for the weight of this thing. With the weight, you kind of want it to be a tank, and you expect it to just be a tank because you're giving up so much because it weighs so much. But again, that was kind of just an unacceptable thing. The folding mechanism itself has play in it. There's no way to tighten it. There's no way to fix that. That's strike one. Now, I do have the version that is adjustable, which is pretty nice. So you can push this button right here, and it's kind of hard to do without using your shoulder or something. Then you can adjust it, right? You can pull it out, extend it, and collapse it down. I always ran it right about there. And so that's a nice feature. That right there has a tiny bit of play, but no more than a normal buffer tube stock would have. So that's completely fine. This has an adjustment here, so you can lift this back up and down. Again, I don't see the reason that someone would do that, but I mean, I guess if you have a very specific way you like the back of your stock to be, but I never needed to adjust that. So that stayed right where it was at, and I had no issues with that. There was no play in there. So yeah, that was cool. Now, I don't know what material this is made of. It is very heavy, so I would assume it's aluminum. It's just very thick aluminum, even though it's still very heavy. I thought at first it might be steel, but it would be way heavier if it was steel. But still, it's aluminum, and so it's got that. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Oh yeah, the QD sockets. That's what I was trying to get at. So the QD sockets are aluminum. They're not steel reinforced. Again, I've brought this up multiple times on the channel. I've never ripped a QD socket out for what I'm using my slings for, my rifles for. I've never pulled out an aluminum QD socket, whether it be on a Geisley handguard or on a stock like this. So full disclosure, but some guys are like, hey, it's aluminum, it's not steel reinforced, so that's an immediate negative. So just know that. Then lastly, these thumb screws right here, probably the most annoying part about this. This cheek riser is very nice. It's well thought out. It is a little bit long, but even with the SIG Spear, it still works with that charging handle. So the LT clears it just fine. I mean, it comes back to right in front of it, but it's still, you have enough room there to charge the charging handle. So you don't have to worry about that. However, when you fold it, if you're using a magnifier, the magnifier lever did hit this a little bit. So thought about dremeling this out, or I could have extended it a little bit, but these would always come loose. That's the biggest thing. The folding mechanism being loose and these always coming loose. Despite putting blue Loctite on them, they continue to walk loose under firing. I'd go to the range and I have to constantly just be checking those the entire time I'm shooting. So this thing, and also one last qualm about this one is that the back the rubber butt pad on the back, it is secured with 3 bolts back here, but it still has quite a bit of play. And I'm not sure why that is, but again, that's just a little bit nitpicky. But when you're paying upwards of like $250 to $300 for a stock, which again, I don't remember exactly how much this one costs at Brownells, you just don't want that to happen. And again, the biggest downfall was that the folding mechanism had play in which you could not, resolve. At least I could not resolve it. So that was my biggest qualm. And then one other thing I thought was interesting was the bolt back here, again, was a non-issue. This never came loose, but it's just one very skinny bolt holding this whole mechanism onto your rifle and one very small Allen bolt. So again, maybe it's a non-issue. It's just some things that I would like to see a little bit over-engineered. But besides that, pretty decent stock. I mean, if I had the choice between, this is probably the best stock up until the rest of these came out, which let's move on to the Jmac stock here. So the Jmac stock, immediately when you set the Midwest Industries down, you pick this one up, it's like, wow, this is by far the lightest stock that I have in this category for 1913 stocks. And it is extremely lightweight. It's very, very, very simple. And this has an older SIG 1913 folding mechanism on here. So just for you guys, I know Jmac makes their own now. I had this for years, so it found its way onto this stock here. So I don't have the Jmac one to review, but this SIG folding mech, it's been amazing. It has these recoil lugs built in to the clamping part right here, and it's got a fairly big bolt holding this all together. So it actually uses the recoil lugs to stop it from going up and down, but there's absolutely no play in this folding mechanism. And I just really love this folding mechanism. And the whole stock itself is very lightweight. I obviously have the version that's 9 inches because I'm a little bit taller. I'm 6'1", so the 9-inch version with the riser, and then I added my Isle Manufacturing cheek riser on here. This is a lifesaver for running lower 1.93 mounts like the Unity Fast. It's kind of a necessity to have that riser there. But once again, aluminum QD cups here, not reinforced with steel, and this stock, although I do really love this stock and it is extremely lightweight, it still has its own little pitfalls and downfalls, right? It's got a fixed height cheek riser, so if I'm going to run nods, I have to deal with not having the extra space. Like if I was going to be running nods, I'd like to take this cheek riser off just to give my face a little bit more room to sit down further, give myself a little more room to play around with the goggles, right? So that's one thing that I don't love, that this is not adjustable, unlike the Midwest Industries and unlike the Samson Manufacturing. And then I don't like there's not steel QD cups. That's just a personal preference thing of mine. Again, for the price of these stocks these days, I would love to see a little bit of steel in there just to reinforce that. And then lastly, this rubber butt pad is extremely rigid. Now, there's no play in it whatsoever, but it's like injection molded, but it is like there's no play to it whatsoever. Now, do you need a big cushy pad for 5.56 or 300 blackout? Absolutely not. Some guys might look at this like a positive. I just think it could have a tiny bit more give to it. But again, I'm being a little nitpicky here. The main issue I have with the Jmac is the non-adjustable riser piece. And then lastly, since it is so skeletonized and it is so, lightweight, if you're trying to shoot at the distance and put a rear bag behind this thing, like where my hand is, as you guys probably saw in some of my other reviews, there's just nowhere to engage with the stock. So there's literally no room to play with this for long range. Again, an 11.5, 5.56, is it a long range gun? No, but I can still lay down or get on a table and shoot that thing out to 500 yards if I have a proper bracing in the bag in the right place. And this thing just makes it very difficult to run a bag and shoot accurately with. So this gets runner up in my opinion. I love how lightweight it is. It looks badass too. Anodizing is a little gaudy for me, but not bad at all. And then we come to the number one, which is kind of like takes the best of both worlds from the Midwest and from the Jmac stock. And that is the Samson Manufacturing stock here. Again, the SAS, huge fan of this thing. I just recently got it in, but immediately you can tell steel reinforced QD cups here. We have adjustable cheek riser, so it's toolless. So it's just a button you push right here on the side, and you can just quickly and simply lift this up and push it back down. So very simple, very well thought out design there. There's no play in that cheek riser whatsoever. It's very solid for having no tools. It's kind of unbelievable, honestly. And the same thing goes for the length of pull here. In the back, you can just pull this back right off, and you can adjust it without any tools whatsoever. So it gives you a lot more versatility. Again, for the money, all these stocks are, I put them probably all in the same price range. But this thing is great because I'm running, obviously, a riser setup here. So I want to have that good cheek weld with my riser, But if I'm going to be running nods, again, I'm going to remove this magnifier so I have room for them, obviously. But then I can just drop this cheek piece back down and get my little chin weld and be able to actively or passively rather aim with my nods and have a lot more leeway using this stock. Now, a couple other things that I love about this, I think this hit the nail right on the head. It's got a 2-bolt connection bolting this thing up, so it's absolutely rock solid. There's zero play. It's got a little button here. I guess if I had one qualm, I might make this button a little bit longer, although I've never had an issue hitting the button. It's very simple to hit. It's not like you have to dig your nail in there or anything. The fat of your finger can hit it pretty easily. But there's no play there whatsoever. That button, you push it. Again, I don't know if I'd make it longer because then you might accidentally engage it. So that's just something to think about. But you push it, it folds down, extremely slim. And again, with that cheek riser being adjustable, with the Midwest, I was hitting this lever right here and it wasn't folding completely flush to the side of the gun like so. So that's something you can just quickly push that button, pop it down, have it be folded away, compact, easy, and it sticks. There's a lot of retention there. If I pull it down, obviously I can get it away, but it's not going to come down on its own. And I mean, I just love this thing. I feel like it's the perfect balance between that heavy duty, like really heavy Midwest industry stock and the super lightweight, like bare minimum Jmac stock. It's like the best of both worlds. You get the adjustability, toolless adjustability, obviously, and then you also get the advantage of the steel reinforced QDs. You get a little bit more surface back here for running a bag or anything like that. You get more customization on it, and then you have a rock solid folding mechanism, and it's not 200 pounds, and it's not it's not a featherweight, but it's not crazy heavy either. So I just wanted to throw a little highlight out there, guys. I think there's not that much to really talk about with these stocks. They're pretty simple, but again, I just really love the way this Samson manufacturing. This is a newer stock. This like just came out, so a lot of you guys might not be aware of this. Also, the rubber padding in the back has a great large surface area on it, and it's actually extremely it's the perfect amount of push that you get, like cushion, without being too rigid or too soft. So I think they just nailed it, right? I'm a huge fan of it. That's why it's running on my new Sig-Spear 300 Blackout SBR. It just fits it really, really well. I can quickly and easily adjust the cheek piece to get me some a nice cheek weld. And then if I want to run nods, boom, pop that down, pull my magnifier off, and then I'm running a chin weld to run passively. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people know about this stock. That's why I want to kind of give it a shout out. Full disclosure, this stock was sent to me by Samson Manufacturing. The only stock I paid for was the Jmac stock. So just so you guys know, but it's not obviously going to change anything I say. I've just showed you guys the exact reasons I like X, Y, and Z about this stock. So hopefully you guys can make a better and more informed purchasing decision if you are running something like the Sig-Spear LT or some type of AK or anything that has a 1913 pick rail on the back here. So yeah, I love that it's a double bolt. I love how solid it is, even though it's got toolless adjustments. And yeah, just aesthetically, it looks amazing as well. So this one is Cerakoted FDE to kind of match the 50 shades of FDE build that we have going here. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for today, guys. That's the stock conversation for 1913. I'm sure there's a ton of other really good options out there in the market. If you guys can think of one that I forgot or I missed that you think is better than all three of these options, let me know down in the comments below. But until next time, I guess thanks for watching. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.